if the volume in the market is focused on Solana and DeGod and y00ts right now, like follow the money, like follow the volume because that's where
Yeah.
you're going to make money.
Short
Do I
term, yeah.
necessarily have to be? Yeah, short term. Yeah, should caveat that. It did pay off for BAYC holders to go long. They had no clue that they were going to have,
And that's
the
kind of what
asset
I'm
they had.
saying, right? You're in your argument saying that this is going to be the Bored Apes of Solana, then you better be long Solana. What's up, guys? It is September 8th, Thursday, which means we are on for another episode of Exit Liquidity. This is Exit Liquidity episode number 6. 7? I think it's 6.
We're off to a great start.
Well, is it 7 if we count the 0.5? I don't know. The last one went up as episode 5, so whatever. This is another episode of Exit Liquidity.
That might have been my bad. I might not have updated it. No, wait. I don't know, man. Anyway, what's up, guys?
We'll get through it. We'll figure it out.
Intro.
Counting is hard. Nobody ever said that NFT degens were good at counting or numbers. That's not what this is about. We're here for the art, right, gentlemen?
Profit here.
It's the gang back from Alpha Mint. It is Exit Liquidity. Dirty Milk, Drip Cult, R2 Degen. How's the week been, boys?
It's been good. Just losing money, hanging out.
You start every episode with just losing money, and I'm just counting the days until you'll be like, yeah, I started haircutting again. What are the odds of that, right?
I know. I'm going to be filming one of these from the back of McDonald's one day.
You're going to be in the break room just like, hey, guys, NFTs, right?
Well, actually, McDonald's might not be a bad option soon in California.
Yes.
At least.
Oh, yeah. 22
trying to
bucks.
pass that
Crazy.
Yeah,
Gavin, dude.
22 an hour minimum wage or something.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with that. I mean, we don't have to get in depth, but it is surprising to me that the government is taking on a role of unionizing fast food workers and then like upping the wages. Like, because minimum wage in California is like $15 anyways, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is higher than it is in Canada, because our minimum wage here is $15.25, but that's in the imaginary Canadian money, which is like $1 American. So we were just talking about that in the pre-show. But that is a wild topic, not really in line with the stuff that we're going to talk about, but yeah, keep your eye out on that. How has the week been in terms of NFTs for you, Drip?
Pretty non-existent, actually. I've been pretty busy, like offline IRL, surprisingly, not surprisingly. I don't know. So I don't know. Beginning of the week, I was like kind of paying attention to the whole y00ts mint, which we'll talk about later. But other than that, I've just been busy offline.
Yeah, y00ts has been fascinating to watch. I think a little bit anticlimactic, but we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. I myself kind of did the same thing too. I touched a lot of grass over the last week. Just, getting out, spending some time with the family for the last week of summer before the kid goes back to school. So we did some touristy stuff in the local tourist spot. That was fun. Just enjoyed some of the weather, and then some of the weather was pretty crappy. But yeah, now it's Thursday into the first week of September, and hitting it hard again, back to the grind. So a little bit excited for that too. Sometimes some routine is never a bad thing, Let's actually just get right into it though. Just for some context, right now, ETH. Don't have to talk about it a lot. It's been going up, it's been going down, but really just hanging around between 16 and 1700. We keep getting a couple little pushes here and there, but it's up about 5% on the week. Bitcoin kind of being the story, and it's down 4% on the week. So the one interesting thing, and again, this isn't super crypto related, or this show isn't super like crypto coin related, but we might actually have a flippening conversation come up in the near future if ETH continues to rally into the merge. Looking into more NFTs, the volume still on a little bit of a downwards trajectory. Yesterday, it saw a little bit of life pop back up. It seemed like we hit a weekly high. But other than that, yeah, the trend is definitely down. I think what we're seeing a lot of, and feel free to disagree with me, is just that the free mint kind of degen meta is kind of cooling off too. People aren't participating in them as much. I think the edge is wearing off on them. aside from a couple of projects, they're not really hitting the same highs as they used to be on a daily basis. Like there seemed to be every day there would be one that would rip up to like 0.75 or whatever, and it seems like we're getting less and less of that. Dirty Milk, you're kind of the guy that I would refer to in terms of what's going on with the degen minting. Am I completely off basis in saying that?
No, I mean, that's how I'm feeling. I've tried to tone it down a little bit. I minted 40 of Phallic Vitalik.
I love it.
Which was,
dude,
I was
that
like,
is
this
good.
game alone is going to make these just run.
Yeah.
And they did
were you long on Phallic Vitalik?
Yeah, I'm at this point. I'm super
oh, I get that.
It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Oh.
No,
but yeah, I've definitely been feeling that. And then like the one project I was bullish on got delisted from OpenSea, so GG's, baby.
Yeah, why not, right? Just to cap it off.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that is not only people just kind of getting over it, but also like it's so competitive now, and if you don't have the tools, aka the bots, to compete, like you've already lost. I wonder if that is kind of more people are leaning into that direction, whether they realize it or not. They're just like, they see all these mints happening and they're just like, I lose every single time, not realizing that they're getting beat out by like the same 10, 15 people with the same bots.
I definitely think there's an advantage to that. And there are some people, we saw this with Mev back in the day when he was like the one big botter. And like everybody, you know, some people had access to bots and, you know, could use them well. There were a couple people that were able to develop their own and use them personally. But Mev was really just crushing the mint game. And I think he was smart enough and had enough foresight to know that even he only had so much time to do that before, you know, that arbitrage opportunity really, which was what it was, became smaller and smaller and smaller. And then it basically got to the point where he stopped because he lost his competitive advantage. And I think that people are losing their competitive advantage, and that margin is just slipping further and further away. I often talk about poker on the AM show with Free Market, and like that's what happened with online poker, was that at first nobody knew what they were doing, and the few people that were really, really good at it just crushed it. And then people got smarter, people started playing more, they got more developed in terms of their analytics and everything, and that edge became less and less and less, and it became harder and harder and harder. And now
it's just like NFTs too, like poker. Like you can, there's so many different add-ons and tools and bots that you can have now, where like you can have an entire custom HUD that has nothing to do with the actual platform you're playing on, and it breaks down so many different things and tracks so much different stuff for you too. So it's like very analytical now versus just like playing against people straight up or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we had one thing go down this week, Gangster All-Stars, and I apologize. I didn't mean to bring this up as a topic, but this is kind of just the natural flow of what we've been speaking about, was just that this was actually a mint that you had to pay for, and it did really well.
Yeah.
And they minted out at 0.3.
Yeah, I was going to go for it, but I couldn't.
Are they on secondary now?
They're on white. Yeah, they're on secondary now. Floor price sitting at 0.22. Yeah.
Yeah. So the allow list got to mint for I think 0.2, and then the actual auction mint went for about 0.3 each. So they're kind of sitting in between there. But I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because I think I might actually go look into these and buy some. I just had this like nice feeling, really, and this is my overarching point, was that this was more of a normal NFT project. It had a price, it had a process, it didn't just pop up, it had some marketing behind it, and it worked. And I'm just watching this relatively closely just to see if maybe that is the direction things start going into, you know? And I do think that it's not going to be free mint forever. You have Gabriel Layden, who over the course of the week, I think we've all like kind of taken a much more positive tune into. But, you know, he's been yelling, everything's going to be free, everything's going to be free. And, like, I don't think the reality is like, if these projects want to build something long-lasting, they do need to be funded. Not everyone has access to $200 million in VC funding. So maybe Gangster All-Stars is there's something there. I have no idea. The art looks pretty cool. It's unique. It's different.
Yeah. But, I saw this. I was like, I want to fucking play. Like, I want to spin that.
Oh, I hate slot machines, man. Like, oh, God.
I love the satisfaction of like pulling the lever, but like, you don't win on slot machines.
Yeah,
barely.
no. I would rather lose $500 at a blackjack table than $50 in a slot machine. I know that sounds terrible, but like I at least feel like I had some agency in it when I'm playing blackjack.
I really
There's
actually.
like a personality attached to slot machines.
Oh yeah,
You know, like there's like a type.
there is. I really got into roulette. I know we're totally getting off topic here, but I remember the last few times I went to
Roulette's
Vegas,
fun.
it's all roulette. It's so fun.
Well, and that's the
Anyway,
thing. Like gambling is entertainment, and it's got to be fun, right? Like you shouldn't be like if
absolutely.
the odds are against you, you shouldn't be sitting there miserable about it at the same time. You know. Which is that kind of like NFTs, baby. Fun will come back into NFTs, and some of that gambling will be enjoyable again, right? And you know,
Yeah.
we'll see a smile on Dirty Milk's face for the first time in 6 months.
Maybe once. I'll give you one.
One and done.
I see a smirk there. There we go. Okay, let's get into our featured topics. We're going to be talking about ENS. That has absolutely been the topic of the week. That is Ethereum domain name. This is topping the NFTs as the most traded asset on OpenSea, according to Decrypt, and they normally have their stats pretty well right. We saw 170% jump in the sales over the past 24 hours. 3-digit ENS names, 4-digit ENS names have been absolutely crushing it. Drip, you want to tell us what the floor price is on 3 and 4 digits? 5, we're running up to.
3-digit right now is 35 ETH.
Incredible.
4-digit. This is all 4-digit is almost 3.5 ETH.
Yeah. So, I mean, these things are crushing it. For those not entirely familiar with the ENS name service, essentially, you know, you'll see the people on Twitter, maybe it's like r2dgen.eth or something, right? And that actually is a placeholder for your wallet address rather than, you know, if somebody's like, oh, I want to transfer you some ETH, it's not like, oh, my address is 0x45f2j. You know, it's just a nice, simple almost like .com domain name. You can actually tie it to Bitcoin and Dogecoin addresses too. So it is not completely specific to Ethereum, which is also pretty powerful. You can also tie it to a website domain name. There is lots of stuff you could do with ENS. The other thing to be bullish about on ENS is the fact that this is a service and you do actually have to pay to renew these domain names every year, much like you would a .com name. This is, and this is a unicorn in Web3 at this point, a revenue generating business, and they are crushing it. ENS is the talk of the town. And right now, I think what we're seeing is basically that .com domain squatting gold rush right now, where
Yes,
the smaller it is, or, you know, just recognizable English verbs, nouns, stuff like that will all command a big premium. Pepsi.eth, you know, Nike.eth. I actually sold pretty recently for a lot. I'm seeing the top sales over there. LooksRare.eth sold for 50 ETH, right? I'm assuming LooksRare bought that.
Yeah.
Like somebody saw LooksRare pop up and registered that right away and bagged a cool 100 grand almost off that. So
not a bad day.
Pretty wild. And, you know, this is one of those things where I have a couple of people that I talk to on a regular basis that have been shouting about ENS names from the rooftops for a long time. Free Market on the AM show has been. And lo and behold, here we are. Yeah. So do either of you have any... What's that?
I said FMC's always been a bull on ENS.
Hugely, hugely. Do you guys dabble in the ENS? Do you own any of them?
Yeah.
I mean, I have dirtymilk.eth. I have gabbykcakes.eth.
Perfect.
I bought that for Gabriel.
So we'll expect to hear you say Gabby Cakes at least 10 times a show until, you know, you manifest that into popular.
Yeah.
You got to pump the bags, man. Absolutely.
Exactly. 100 ETH is FUD, dude.
I remember a few months ago, a lot of us in AlphaMint were talking about ENS domain names, and a bunch of us were buying the 5-digit ones, and I still hold a few of them. I sold a couple. I sold one for like 0.07. I mean, I registered it for like a few dollars. It's like 0.003 or something ETH, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I still have a bunch of 5-digit ENS names. I'm just gonna sit on them. I mean, it's only going up. I mean, it only ever goes up, right? So, but yeah, I'm contemplating buying other ones. Maybe some of these. You know, 3-digit letters, not numbers. I don't want to spend that much. I mean, even the numbers, actually, not the numbers. Sorry, the 4-digit numbers.
I think I saw somebody trying to push emojis out there too, like 3 emoji
They have single emoji. Where is it? Right here. The single emoji floor is 0.75. So yeah, that's probably not a bad
0.75. That
value.
seems like
I don't know. Some of these emojis
yeah.
are pretty bad though. So like, I mean,
I,
someone out there is gonna want it eventually,
I
but
wonder
like,
what the poop emoji is worth.
oh, I don't know.
You don't
There's
have to look it
Pokemon
up.
Trainer DAO. Wait, what? There's the categories on here are so fun. Just to, like,
Yeah,
take a
and
look through.
ENS.vision is actually a pretty good site to look all of this stuff up in. So
Yeah,
I mean,
like
if you know, for anyone listening or watching, if you're not familiar with ENS and you've been living under a rock and are completely unaware of it, go check it out. It's going to be important, and even if it's not like a speculative play here, like if you're taking crypto seriously, not a bad idea to just have like your kind of pseudonym .eth in your bag, right? Like just for ease of use. So ENS absolutely crushing it. And I wonder what the price of the token has been. That was a hot airdrop last year, early this year too. But I don't know what's you know.
Let's see.
I gotta believe that if the NFTs are pumping, so too the token would be, right? Oh
$15.
yeah. Oh
It's
yeah, that's great. Yeah, but go to 1 month. Yeah, it was
1
$80.
month, like 1 year, like, so like the high was like, yeah, it's like over 80. I remember that.
Yeah,
The
back in
1
June
month,
it was like sub 10.
1 month the high was 1669. So I mean, it's still, I mean, it's probably I don't know. I don't think there's any use for the token. I don't know of any
It's a
uses
governance token, and there is
the governance. Okay.
yeah. So I mean, I'm not super bullish on governance tokens. Like I
would not.
Doesn't mean anything to me. I guess Ape is technically a governance token, but you know that they're going to be using that as currency in their metaverse. So, any final thoughts on ENS names? Anything that you're particularly bullish on as an ENS name besides GabbyCakes.eth?
That's it.
That's it. 100 ETH is fun.
There's I have this thread up from I believe it's Drea.eth. I assume that's how it's pronounced anyway. I'll post it in the newsletter. But he goes over some good topics of why he's bullish on it, like historic, scarcity, universal, and kind of dives into it, which brings up some good points about ENS names and why they are a good investment. Not everything, like obviously, probably registering like my dog's name is whatever is probably not a good one, but like there's definitely categories, just very much like regular.
Well, I mean, if your dog's name
probably
is Kyle, like that might be good.
Maybe, but I don't think anyone's gonna want to buy my dog's name is Kyle.ens. Like that's more what I'm thinking. Like for yourself, like absolutely grab that. But like
No, I just meant like Kyle.eth.
Kyle.eth, yeah, but I probably that's taken. Let's see.
Yeah, for sure.
I know a lot of yeah, someone holds it. There's a lot of names, a lot of companies, a lot of like basic things. Like I think, oops, sorry, a lot of things like this one. I own this domain actually. So yeah, like the ETH is like
a shameless shelf shilling of
no,
shop.
I don't own the ENS. I like own the domain, but or at least I actually maybe I sell that. I can't remember. I don't know. But there's like things like that. There's certain things that are still like good to potentially look into and invest into ENS wise. And if they're so cheap right now, I think I had Dirty register me one. How much it was like 0.001 ETH or something like.
Yeah. I think it was below 0.01. I know that, like just right below, I think.
But yeah, they're cheap. So I mean, if you want to spend the time, do the research, like yeah, you could be very profitable. And it's just like domain flipping. I mean, essentially, you could just go probably find a domain thing and just literally copy it over. It'll probably translate eventually, some of it.
I always like looking at the ones on the floor there too, like the cheapest ones, and just how ridiculous they are. Like who's buying Adelhard.eth?
I don't know. Here's Jordan's Nike.eth.
Like I just don't think that like simply because you register an ENS domain name, you're going to be able to flip it. Like Trip said, there still has to be some kind of value in it.
I saw someone like talking about zip codes and phone numbers. Phone numbers and zip codes is probably something to look into. But I mean, phone numbers is 5 digits. So like, or sorry, zip codes is 5 digits. So
yeah, phone numbers would be 7 to 10 digits, I guess. 10 digits, right?
Yeah,
that doesn't seem like.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Who knows? Also, I mean, like, I guess you could go around and look for like notable people's phone numbers and start doing that, but like people don't want their phone numbers to be public anyways. Why would you have that as your?
No, dude, it's so wild how far technology and like how far privacy has come. Like they used to throw a phone book out to everybody and
Yeah.
leave them on doorsteps. Now, like their phone numbers like tied to so many security things. Like the last thing you want is your phone number getting out there.
I should show a phone book to my kid and see if he understands what it is,
But
and then hit him
honestly,
with it.
the real play here, realistically, is probably finding, picking a category like the 10K club or one of those, buying something now, sitting on it for another week to maybe a month, and flipping it. That's probably where your most profit is going to come
You're
from.
that short term bullish on this?
I just wouldn't want to get stuck holding something for 3.5 ETH that is potentially going to be useless in the next 6 months to a year. So yeah. But I'm talking about if you're looking for a short term lower risk thing, this is probably the play in my opinion. But if you want to literally just de-risk completely but still go long on ENS, just start registering things for, you can register so much for so cheap.
Love it. Always keep in mind though that there are registration fees that you have to keep up on.
Just like a domain, every year.
So let's move into to y00ts. That was a big topic a couple weeks ago when we had the show. Last week, I think it was just getting into the final stages of the y00ts scholarship program. And now we actually have the y00ts tubes that are listed and for sale. So essentially, do you want to pull the breakdown? Yeah, good timing. The breakdown and allocation of y00ts to DGods was all 10,000 DGods got access to minting a y00t. There was 3,200 on the y00ts list, 1,500 for the DAO pool, X amount for treasury, raffle, and then there was about 235 for waitlisted people. So low chance of minting this if you weren't on any kind of list. And now they're out, they're in the open. The actual y00ts themselves have not been minted yet, but you do have the tubes and you can trade them much like the CloneX vials or the Mutant Ape vials of the olden days. And they're doing all right. I think a lot of people were expecting big fanfare with this. It was going to be a huge hot drop, but they're also fighting the market too, right? Like the market is just not that interesting right now. They're holding 144 sol floor, which I believe is around 3 ETH. The DGods have fallen to about 9 ETH, I believe, just quick maths. And yeah, I think maybe a little anticlimactic. I'm still tempted though.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot more. I mean, we were seeing DGods hitting 500, 600 floor before these dropped, and now these are sitting at 144. And again, nothing to like sneeze at. It is another piece in the DGod ecosystem. So I don't think I didn't ever, and it's like more supply. So I never thought it was going to replace DGods per se, but like I thought it was going to be around like 200, 250. I remember watching these minting Monday night. I was working on the newsletter and I saw it bouncing between 125 and 140, and it's pretty much just stayed right in there. So
Dirty,
definitely below my expectations.
Dirty, are you at all bullish on these on Solana? I actually don't even know if I've asked you. Like, have you ever minted or bought anything on Solana?
I don't think so. I got Phantom Wallet a bit back because of some game that was launching, like with Star Atlas or something.
Oh yeah.
But I don't even know if that ended up launching or not. I know you could trade some of the.
It has a coin like too,
that.
Right?
I think so. I didn't end up following it. That was like at the very beginning of my NFT journey, and I just was trying to. I think I was looking at freaking like ADA NFTs at the same time. Like so it was just a weird time. Like
Cardano.
The journey when you're trying to like diversify and whatnot, and then I just realized that I'm better at ETH. I haven't really followed these a ton to like really have an opinion on them. I do like the y00t. I think I remember the y00t art was like I thought was a lot better than the DGods.
I agree,
but I don't think that's going to translate to like floor prices or anything like that. But yeah, it's been a fun watch. It's just nice that at least some NFTs are still getting volume, even if it's on a different chain than I'm trading on. But
it was cool to see. I agree with you. It was cool to see the hype.
Yeah. So it's nice to kind of have that surrounding them and everything. So think it does overall good things for the space. But yeah, I don't have a crazy opinion about these, unfortunately. I tend to write off Solana as a whole, and I should probably be better about being just a little bit more plugged into it.
I have such mixed feelings about this, because we were talking about the idea of investing and buying in these earlier, and I almost talked myself into it, and now we're talking about it, and I think I'm talking myself out of it again, because I was like, I have a couple trains of thought here. One, I believe at this point, DeGods and now y00ts are basically the preeminent Solana collection, right? Like, you get that Bored Ape kind of esque vibe from them, in that, you know, they're setting records in terms of the floor price, which I know Bored Apes didn't do, but just, you know, give me a break here. Like, it's just capturing attention. And I guess if I were to bet on Solana, buying DeGods or y00ts or y00ts would be a good bet on Solana. But you have to believe in Solana as a chain for this to work. Do you know what I mean? Like, you really are betting on the success of Solana if you were betting on y00ts and DeGods, because at the end of the day, we have the merge that might only be a few days away. Everything seems to be a go with it. It seems to be working properly. And all of a sudden, that environmentally friendly narrative that Solana has is wiped away with ETH. The ETH transaction fees should get dramatically lower. The throughput on ETH is dramatically higher. And all of a sudden, that edge that Solana has been, you know, standing on the rooftop yelling about is basically non-existent. And all of the development already exists on ETH, right? Like, the activity, the amount of activity, the amount of NFTs, the amount of DeFi that's on there, all of these things that have already been built on ETH are about to get that much better. And I guess I start to wonder, like, why Solana, right? But if you could talk yourself into an investment in Solana, I think y00ts and DeGods are an incredible way to see outsized returns on it. Basically like a leverage play, right?
I agree with that one. Yeah. I will say the Solana network did not go down during the mint.
Incredible.
Cannot say
Their
the
website,
same for cannot say the same for the mint, for the y00ts website. That was, from all the tweets I saw when it was happening live, multiple people saying that they just couldn't even access the website. And then once they couldn't even mint. They just sat there and spammed the mint button for like 2 hours straight or something like that. Many people were tweeting the same thing like that. But I agree with you. Yeah, I feel like if you are going to get into Solana and you want the next, or the BAYC version of a Solana NFT, yeah, it's going to be DeGods and probably y00ts. But I agree with you on the whole Solana chain thing. But the bigger thing for me, at least, is like all the VC money in Solana. Like, they're just waiting to dump on you.
Right.
Yeah, betting on Solana is like betting on like Patagonia vests, staying in style.
They've actually, for the record, they've gone out of style slightly, because Patagonia will no longer do like custom orders and stuff.
Short Solana then.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Burn it to the ground.
Well, so we talk a lot about, like, it's not always a zero-sum game. It's not like Pepsi and Coca-Cola can't exist in the same marketplace, right? Like, they share some of the market dominance, and then you get some of the smaller niche brands and whatnot. Same with clothing, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to main, like, base layer technology, there typically is only one winner, right? Like, we saw Blu-ray versus HD DVD. Blu-ray won. We saw like mini disc versus like MP3, like hard, you know, like all of these technologies. There's always these 2-3 competitors that are vying for the tech, and it's whoever builds on them kind of wins, you know? And I'm just wondering, like, is there a place for ETH and Solana if they are serving the same use case? I just don't know. And you don't have to answer that. That's not, like, it's kind of just a rhetorical question, but you know, we see, it's not like there's the internet and there's another thing that's equivalent to the internet, and you log into one or you log into the other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that is a good take.
Yeah, so I'm kind of just like coming to the conclusion that now I don't want to buy a Ute because I don't think Solana will last.
My only thought is that like if the volume in the market is focused on Solana and DeGod and Utes right now, like follow the money, like follow the volume because that's where you're going to make money.
Short
Do
term,
I necessarily have to be short term? Yeah, should caveat that with volume is always short term, but like do I have to be long Solana to invest in it? Like no, but that's not my goal. I guess if your goal is to like follow volume, make some money, get out, then yeah. But if you're trying, I mean, I don't know. It did pay off for BAYC holders to go long. They had no clue that they were going to have,
and that's kind of what I'm saying, right? Like if you in your argument are saying, and this isn't directed at YouTube, but if you're in your argument saying that this is going to be the Bored Apes of Solana, then you better be long Solana to also be long Utes, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I guess you could say the same thing about ETH, right? If
it's true. I feel like ETH has so much more though. like
what about sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But what about multi-chain NFTs? Do you think that like those could have a place in the sense where if you're just more bullish on one blockchain over the other, you can kind of pick and choose which one it sits on? Do you think that it's a factor in any capacity, or it could be a factor in any capacity or a benefit?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I guess it is a little bit of a hedge against like being tied down to a single chain success, right? So in terms of it, just from the pure NFT sense, yeah, I mean, it's probably a safer bet. I don't, maybe it's one of those things where the downside isn't as bad, but maybe the upside isn't as well. I don't know. I've never really participated in any multi-chain.
Either have I.
That was all the rage for like a minute.
There was like a literal 1 minute. Like,
what was that mean? What was the?
Oh, that's a good question.
Do you remember that? Yeah,
I do remember them like popping off, and like there was the first one or whatever. But then like some chains were ripping and others weren't. So it was like people were trying to transfer them over and stuff to try to like sell them on other chains, and it got like complicated. And
I mean, you bring up something though. I mean, like if for some reason, ETH becomes the way it was during the hype cycle where you're paying, a couple $100 per transaction. If it's multi-chain, you can, send it over and do better, faster transactions for cheaper on a different chain. Then yeah, the market will probably move to a different chain.
I'm very bullish on the fact that ETH is days away from solving this, and it won't be just like as soon as it's turned on, all of a sudden it'll be 100,000 transactions per second. Like that is the end goal, but like 100,000 transactions per second is a lot. Like you're talking about like the Visa network and the MasterCard network and stuff like that, right? Which is
they're like millions.
Could be. I don't think so though. Like I mean, even just like per second, like, you sit there, you tap your card, it takes 3 or 4 seconds. Like that's still, in the realm of acceptable, right? To wrap up the used conversation, you had one more thing pulled up, and that was, I think that there was an ETH derivative of Utes, which is hilarious that ETH is actually having the derivatives of Solana collections. Normally it was the other way around.
I gotta find that link. I thought I had that link open. I did not.
It's not that important, but I did find it just fascinating that a derivative collection on ETH, and if you want to be bullish on ETH, here's another reason, did higher volume than the actual Utes on Solana,
Let's see. Hold on one second. Yeah, dude, that is, I mean, like, how much of that is just like people having fun, like ETH maxis, or people who just didn't participate having fun and just like saying like, like we can do it too? Or like, is it like just that's what happened to be trading on the, in ETH, and that volume was just like, all right, whatever. Like, cause I don't think anyone like, here it is. I don't think anyone genuinely was like psyched on it. Like,
yeah, I say it tongue in cheek. I don't think that like the Utes collection on ETH is ever going to be more valuable than the real Utes collection on Solana, but God,
I mean,
bless the degens.
This was posted by Sirius. This was a day ago. So like the Utes Yacht Club had over $1.3 million in volume. Like that's for a derivative, like it's pretty good.
I don't know what this ABC collection is, but it looked like it did pretty well too.
Yeah, I mean, some Solana thing. I don't know. I'm not not a Solana guy at all. I'm starting to think I should be though.
I
That's
know, I know. It's like the question is, do you want to split your attention between an already busy like ETH chain and then throw Solana into the mix? But you know what? Maybe I'm gonna make that a goal this week for me is to just get a Phantom wallet and get some ETH in there or Solana in there and mess around.
I remember everyone was calling Soul Summer at the beginning of like was that May, June? So I was like, all right, I'll go pick up some Soul. Like
They were
I
saying
haven't
that
done
last year
anything with
too.
it. Yeah, I haven't done anything with it. Like maybe I'll actually look into, but apparently you don't need to if like these ETH derivatives are doing this. Like, what's the point?
I minted the wrong y00ts derivative on ETH. I minted y00ts.
You minted y00ts on ETH?
Yeah, like honestly, before
you your ETH away.
Yeah, exactly. Before y00ts even minted, I think that they're derivative.
I take it you didn't do well.
Nope, still holding them. They're in one of my wallets. They're in the phallic vitalik, surrounded by a bunch of phallic vitalics.
Not the worst place to be, I guess.
No, never.
All right, let's move topics into Artifact Clone X, and there might be a little bit of a hint towards who the next Artifact collaborator is going to be. And keep in mind, Artifact was purchased by Nike. That was kind of one of the big announcements they had shortly after the Clone X mint, and it propelled them into another stratosphere. Like literally just everything changed the second that Nike announcement came out. It appears that LeBron James might have something to do with Clone X, and this Clone X market has a pretty good breakdown of it, how one particular NFT was changed. The hairstyle of it was the chosen one crown. That was often what LeBron was referred to in high school, coming out of or going into the NBA out of high school. I even remember having the Slam magazine cover, or maybe it was Sports Illustrated actually, where he was on the cover of it holding the ball and it said the chosen one on there. So that has been updated, along with the mouth trait has been changed to the LBJ beard. I don't think I need to tell you what LBJ stands for, but if you do need a hint, it's LeBron James. Very interesting. There's some clear pathways to this collaboration, obviously with Nike being not only owning the Clone X collection, but also being a lifetime sponsor of LeBron James in a deal that's rumored to be over $1 billion. No concrete financials has ever come out of it, but a lifetime deal with LeBron James. LeBron featured now in that Metaverses game. He did Space Jam, which was very kind of Metaverse-centric. He has a absolutely massive, gigantic following, particularly in a younger demographic. It seems like a match made in heaven, and it looks like this is going to go down. I don't know what this means. Can you pull up the price action on Clone X? Is this really grabbing people's attention, or?
Let's see.
They dropped to like 6, didn't they? Well, I mean, like before this was announced, I think they had dropped to like 6. So I'm curious on where they're at now.
I think you actually want to just search for Clone X, right?
Is it? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We're thinking Artifact.
Yeah, Artifact is the, there you
go. Yeah, just under 6, 5.9.
So not really having a whole lot of movement here. And that tweet that I'm looking at now, not a ton of engagement on it too. So just curious, maybe there is something there.
I feel like that is like a terrifying sign, to be honest. They just collabed with LeBron James, and there's like not.
Well, this is speculation, right? There's no announcement surrounding this.
Oh,
that is just a speculative Twitter account that is saying like,
yeah,
hey, there's some science here. I guess I should have prefaced that with my apologies.
That was in the impression.
I want to look at this.
Even though,
yeah, I have to agree. If like a rumor like this doesn't really spark much, like
it's alarming.
It is a little.
But alarming. I'm looking at Clone X, the Clone X 7968. Like, it absolutely has the LBJ beard, 1 of 1. It's not. This isn't like just somebody making up something on Twitter for some engagement farming. Like, it does say chosen one crown.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, fuck, maybe
Even Clonex just did their what do they called it? Their physical, or I don't know. They did like physical clothing and traits for and digital traits for their NFTs. So like people could essentially upgrade their NFT with a article of clothing, and then they get like the equivalent physical piece as well, or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. I don't follow Clonex too closely. I feel like maybe just the hype is not there for Clonex. People just the interest.
Well, you know, this is an interesting conversation too, because we saw what Steph Curry did for the Bored Ape collection, and I mean, Bored Apes were already kind of solidifying themselves in the NFT world as being important, but Steph bought an ape and, you know, hopped into their Discord, and it actually really did like bring them to another level, right? That was the first one. Now we've seen countless celebrities jump in after that. Post Malone, like, didn't really move the needle. They're already at 125 ETH at the time, and you know, Post Malone's huge, but it's not like the majority of Post Malone's followers can now all of a sudden go and spend $500,000 on an NFT, right? So I think in terms of the influence that celebrity can have on the Bored Ape ecosystem, they've almost kind of capped out, you know? Like it's not like Madonna jumping in is going to really make a big difference, even though she's got, you know, 100 million followers. My apologies.
I mean, like two things on that one. The first, like the stigma still of anti NFT and that it's a scam is still very real, but also like, man, the world is rough right now. The discretionary and disposable incomes are depleted. Like people are trying to survive right now. So I don't think many celebrities are going to get their followers to buy an NFT. But also, it makes perfect sense for Nike to kind of lean into their asset talent pool, so to speak, and to get them to potentially, you know, push their, you know, heavily invested NFT project to another level potentially. I could see them definitely tapping on more of their I hate to call them assets, but I mean that's what they are. Their assets to, you know, try to pump CloneX or some other kind of NFT project.
Yeah, Dirty, you got any thoughts on this? I know you're not a huge basketball fan, but you know, Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean,
would Lewis Hamilton buying a CloneX persuade you to also buy a CloneX?
I mean, I guess I'm just more surprised that this isn't really moving stuff off of the rumor. I think I guess it makes sense that people are probably going to be a little bit more particular, like a little bit more careful these days, and probably would rather buy off an announcement than a rumor. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm glad they went with LBJ beard instead of neck beard trait. That sounds a lot cooler.
So, it does sound cooler.
There's that.
Well, okay, so let's go around the table here and talk about what celebrity would be a mover, not necessarily influence you, the DGen trader, to buy something, but what would you think would be a really bullish signal for a project that's like kind of in the CloneX, or like let's say Doodles or something? If somebody just jumped in, big name celebrity, that would maybe even kick off an NFT bull run, you know? Because I think that if tomorrow or next week CloneX was like, check out LeBron, it is going to make a difference.
I would say Elon Musk.
Like it's actually
long rumored to be a Bored Ape holder.
Yeah, if he went full DGen though, and just like his Twitter feed was just NFTs, I think it would absolutely kick off NFTs all over again.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's not where my head would go, but that's a great answer to that question, because it's tough. Like if Tom Holland bought, you know, freaking something, it's like, is that cool? Is that like a big deal? Yeah, but like Tom Holland's fans are like me and a bunch of 12-year-old girls. Like, you know. So it's just like, what's
do you want that edited out, or no?
It would definitely have to be someone crypto centric, because like 12-year-old girls and dirty are not going to move the needle. Like,
well, it's a great point too, because Elon has probably made a lot of people so much money off Tesla that they could afford to, and Dogecoin, they could afford to actually jump an ape in there. And I mean, there is a little bit of a DGen element to that as well. Yeah, interesting. It's a hard question simply because Drake drives a Bugatti or something like that, right? And Drake being seen in a Bugatti doesn't all of a sudden spur a ton of sales of Bugatti because, frankly, if you have enough money to own one, you've bought one if you wanted it anyways, right? So, I don't know. Like, if I was looking at a celebrity to buy a doodle and, like, expect a huge pump from it, oh, man, I kind of put myself on the spot there with
Dude, side note, like Porsche is going to do an IPO and I'm low-key super excited about it.
Porsche is doing an IPO?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to make money off of it by any means, but I'm still probably going to buy some just for the novelty factor.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm just like, I completely stumped myself with that question. Do you have any thoughts on, like, oh, you said Elon, Dirty, like anyone else, you think?
I'm trying to think, to be honest. I went to like
Cristiano Ronaldo would be one that I would have thought, but then like Cristiano Ronaldo kind of did some crypto stuff and everyone was like,
I was gonna say, yeah, because like there's like So Rare and a couple of those other ones that are like very much NBA Top Shot-ish, but like again, that's just not, most people are not daily crypto users or following it at all. They would have such a hurdle.
Yeah, and I think the atmosphere is not like on right now for it either. So
that's where I'm at. Is I think that it's a tough question to answer for the current like kind of state of the space. Last year, when like NFT was the most searched word of 2021 on Google, like that was a perfect year, in my opinion, to like release a bunch of celebrities and stuff like that. When people are curious and trying to find out about it. Now everybody, like I was talking to my neighbor, she's asking me, she's noticed that I work from home now. She's kind of asking me what I do. And I mentioned that I do NFTs full time and whatnot. She's like, how's that going now? Kind of thing. Like people are aware. And I was like, well, it's definitely like not like the same. I mean, I'm pretty sure she holds some, she's an Olympian. So she had like, some NFT collaboration.
The humble brag over here, eh?
Well, I was trying to tie it into why she had an NFT like collaboration that she did at one part. So I think she's familiar with the space, but yeah, I just don't think the tone is right to start dropping a bunch of celebrities into the market right now.
The more I think about the LeBron thing, the more curious it is to me. I think we all know that he is in the twilight of his career. Last year was the first year that universally he wasn't regarded as one of the top 5 NBA players. Like it really was, like he was still an incredible talent, obviously, but really started to see a little bit of a decline in there. Now LeBron does that until the playoffs, and obviously they didn't make the playoffs, so who knows? But he's in his 20th NBA season, and this is a guy who is incredibly focused on legacy and brand and all of these things that will transcend into a life after basketball, which is quickly approaching. Why wouldn't? Oh, I know financially he's fine. He will always be fine. His family will be fine. But now it's kind of like Kobe was doing this too before his untimely passing. It's what am I doing that's going to be bigger than what I did in basketball after? King of the Metaverse kind of sounds like a thing.
Might have to fight Zuckerberg for that one.
I don't think it would be much of a fight, honestly. I think people like LeBron a lot more.
Sweet baby Rays on the ground.
Not owner of the Metaverse, but just king of said Metaverse. No,
I know.
Right?
I'm half teasing. I don't imagine anyone liking or following or backing Zuckerberg. But
I think that there's an interesting narrative there, and whether or not there's much substance to this Twitter thread, which looks like there is, simply because go check the CloneX out. CloneX number 7968. Like it's right there. You could see it.
Wait, so
it's owned by Artifact,
but they just bought it, correct?
No, it's always they bought it 7 months ago for 42.
Okay, so hear me out. Is that not weird that you can just buy it and then give yourself one of one trades?
Also a great point.
Yeah, like I mean, who else
we're talking about all of this. They're just like editing their NFTs to be one of ones.
Yeah, like how is that? I mean, they are never allowed to like sell or give that away ever, in my opinion, because that is just so not okay. Like everybody else is like, why the fuck don't I have one-of-one trades?
Yeah, LeBron comes in. Yeah, you see that with Bored Apes. Justin Bieber picks like the lonely ape and pays 1.5 million for it. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna grab this one and put a LeBron James beard. Now, granted, they did pay 42.069 nice ETH for it 7 months ago, so it's not like this was a freebie.
Floor though. That's not one-of-one pricing. That's like 2x floor pricing. Back in 7 months ago. I don't know. I find that way more newsworthy at this point now that I'm thinking about it. That I just think that is like so not supposed to be allowed.
Some projects do lock their metadata and others just kind of leave it open. So.
I get that, but like
no, I understand that.
For them to buy it and then give themselves one-of-one trades, I understand that they're probably not trying to do anything malicious, but on paper that sounds so sus.
I mean, but also like their whole goal was to give their avatars the ability to change their clothes and all that stuff. Like I think they announced that like early on, so that shouldn't be that shocking.
Oh, I didn't know that. Sounds a lot more fun when you don't say that, though.
Sorry.
They really just rained on Dirty Milk's parade here. He comes up with like such a great point. Drip's like, yeah, they were always doing that though. God.
Yeah, thanks.
I mean, Artifact has always been into like fashion and shoes and all that fun stuff. So like it was,
yeah. I don't know. I just it sounds weird when on paper, in my opinion, but
fair enough.
27 votes on this little poll that he put there. Artifact's next collab. Yeah. But people have spoken. 43% say it's the next collab.
People have spoken.
All right, boys. Let's wrap this show up with. We've been trying to do something a little bit more fun for like one of the segments of the show. Last week we did the Would You Rather, and that was a good discussion. It was just like a fun kind of opinion piece on it.
Let me bring this back up so we can look up some projects.
I think in the dog days of summer and NFT bear market, an NF therapy session might be a little bit
NF
in line. We want to talk about the biggest bag fumbles you've had and how you're coping with it. I know we all have one, whether it was something that was sitting right there, you purchased and sold too early, you didn't buy enough of them, you got hacked, Drip's gone.
Sorry guys, trying to get some cool air in here. My camera might poop out on me because it's once again shocker hot here.
Drip Cult streams live from like a hut in the middle of the desert, so it's
pretty much
basically a sweat box. I could see it rolling down his face with that high quality camera that he's about to lose there. But on to the topic: biggest bag fumbles, biggest regrets, most cope you have in NFTs or crypto. And let's not do that, oh, I wish I had bought Bitcoin in 2008 thing. Like, you know, that's easy. Let's talk about the real world NFTs here. Dirty, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. I don't even know where to start because like there's just so much hindsight in this space. But like I'd probably say one of my biggest fumbles was cryptodes.
Yeah, that could be a big one.
I had like one or two. I think I minted them. If I didn't mint them, I bought them insanely cheap off secondary, probably the cheapest that they ever were. And I think I sold one for like 0.75, and then I was going to hold my other one. And then I had noticed like a wallet had 100 in it. And I thought I was some like super slick trader guy at the time who was like, you know, seeing some whale with 100 cryptodes, and I didn't want to get dumped on. So I convinced my buddy to sell with me at 0.9. And then they just ripped to like 16 ETH over the next 2 days. And I had like a very similar setup with, Anonymize. I didn't ride those up to like the 9 ETH. I sold those below 1.
If that makes you feel better, most Anonymize have rode it all the way back down. Like Anonymize was one of those projects that went up as high as it did because just nobody sold.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I can see here all day, like with how much ETH. I've probably left like 200 ETH on the table if I'm honest. It's just brutal. But yeah, Ether Orcs, which I'm still so bullish on long term, and I just love them forever. But
I think you and I were like the only two people in Alpha Mint that didn't get in on that mint.
No, I minted Ether Orcs.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm the only one.
I just mean I held them. I I had 8 Oryx at like a 3.5 ETH floor, and I just looked at them.
I think they were higher than that too. Weren't they up to 80 for a little bit? Oh, this is a therapy session. Sorry, no, it's gonna be all right, my friend.
But yeah, and I just like I ended up selling like a grip of those like below 1 ETH. So it's just yeah.
Well, you can buy them back for cheaper now, I think.
Yeah, you can. You can definitely buy them back for cheaper.
But yeah, a lot of cope, a lot of
back
pain.
0.3.
But it's cool, you know. You can't win them all. I just happen to not win any of them, but it's it's all right.
Oh, you've had some wins.
Pain.
I would say mine. I don't want to do this thing. Like, I know everyone's like, oh, I wish I'd bought Bored Apes. I have it in like a group DM of somebody that's like very smart that like pointed these out just after mint. I think they were about 0.3 each at the time. And this is somebody that you typically just follow their advice, or it's like saying like, hey, there's something here, or like, you know, he just at the very least finds interesting things. And we saw them, and at the time I hadn't owned any NFTs, so maybe this doesn't count, but it was like one of those things that was like, there's something here, there's something particular about these, like, you know, take a look. 0.3. I then went on later that week to spend 3 ETH on Leet token, which I eventually emptied out for under 1 ETH, so took a huge L there. Yeah, 10 Bored Apes sounds like a lot better of a purchase, but you know what? I didn't own NFTs at the time, so it kind of is what it is. If we want to talk about like real, had my hands on it or fumbled the bag, like Digidaigaku was it for me, because I had the mint. I minted it. I sold it for 0.75, but that's not what bothers me. What bothers me is that I forgot about it. Like, I minted it, then walked away and did something else. And when I'm playing this, and you kind of heard Dirty Milk talk about having 1 or 2 cryptodes, and it becomes very difficult when you only own 1 or 2 of something, because you can't scale out of that position. You're very binary in the sense of like, do I want to hold these? How do I de-risk? You can't really de-risk because you only sell 1 of them. And if you only sell 1 of your 2, then you have 1 left. And like, then when do you sell that one, right? Taking position sizes of 10, 15, 20 are a lot more beneficial. And that's why high liquid people play this game really well, is because they don't have to make the choice of sell everything or sell nothing. They can sell 5. And a lot of times selling 5 will be enough to completely put you at break even for your entire bag of 20 of them. Now you have 15 that are pure profit, and the game becomes a lot easier. You can sell 5 more when they go up even higher. You can sell 5 when they go less, and you want to just take a little bit of off the table, and you still have 10. And you can keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 around for that moonshot, right? I always do this in the meta. Like, I can show you. I have like 20 of those strangers. I have like 10 of those doomsday trees. I have 30 of those epics merge. I'm okay with all of them going to 0 because that's the game you're playing. But I take that shot so that when it does go up, I don't have to make this binary decision of yes, I'm exiting, or no, I can de-risk properly. I didn't do that with Digidaigaku. And that frustrates the hell out of me because it's the one project that I didn't play normal to my game plan. And I can show you that this is my game plan because I've done it a bunch of times.
You have the hidden folder to show it?
I have the hidden folder to show it. These were sitting there at 0.05 after mint for a little while. And I absolutely would have taken a 1 ETH stab at them for, you know, buying 20 of them. Or maybe just a half ETH stab at them and buying 10 of them. And they ripped up to 16 ETH. And I can sure as hell tell you I would have sold 2 or 3 of them at 15 ETH because why the hell not? Right?
Why the heck not?
Like,
right.
that's, you know, an incredible year's salary you just made, or, you know, just that's a huge trip, a month-long trip to Europe. I don't know, whatever. I just, like, it frustrates me to no end that I fumbled that bag so hard because I didn't stick to my plan. I walked away and then came back and was like, oh, 0.75, like, great, I made some profit. But, you know, I wish I'd bought more of them. I don't even care. I'm not upset that I sold them at 0.75 because if I had had 15 of them, I would have sold 1 or 2 at 0.75 anyways. But here we are.
There it is.
There it is.
It took too long.
And on that note, I'll Drip, you want to finish this off here? I think we got to wrap it up pretty soon too, actually.
Mine was, I had a Cool Cat. I had a Classy 2 Cool Cat. What is Cool Cat at right now? This was right before they ripped. I think it was sitting at like 2 ETH, and the floor on my trade. And then I was swing trading it. I was like, all right, cool. I'll just like get some quick liquidity. I want to make a trade, and then I'll jump back in. That was the day they decided to run up to like 5 or 6. But the max pain is that eventually that floor ended at like, or the top of that floor was like 20, 25 ETH, I think. And I can't say I would have held it that long anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that's probably like the biggest. Actually own the NFT, had it in my bag, like. But oh well, that's life. C'est la vie.
It's brutal. I still remember seeing somebody post that they bought a Bored Ape for $2,000 and thinking you are such an idiot.
Yep.
And I mean that was before I owned anything, but GG.
Yeah. Damn. Absolutely. Yeah, there's like to echo what Dirty said early on, is there's a lot of hindsight, there's a lot of would be could be's, but it did not happen. So
eyes forward is important, like it is. But
yeah, and don't go back. If you sell something pre-revealed, don't go back.
Do not look at that.
We all say that, but
horror stories of that.
I did that once where I minted a project. It's the fastest flip. Like literally, I checked one of those sites where it like tells you your fastest trades, like your most profitable trade. And this was officially my fastest flip. And I minted for like 0.25, sold them each for 0.75 a piece. Floor ran to like 3 ETH plus an hour later. And then I had like a top 100 that ended up selling for like double digits ETH, like high double digits ETH, like way down the line. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like it was, don't go back. Eyes forward. So
max pain.
Yeah, we had that happen with an Alpha Mint member that had like a top 20 Azuki or something and sold it pre-reveal. And they didn't even go back and look at it. Somebody saw the sale, and it was a lot, like 150 ETH. I don't even want to say his name.
Josh?
Yeah, it was Josh.
Yeah.
Well, he acknowledges it, but he didn't even look. Yeah. Somebody DM'd him to tell him how much it sold for, and like,
wasn't it the Pikachu
dude, don't do that. Yeah.
That's so rude.
Golden Pikachu he had or something, like, and it sold for like 100 ETH, like just absolute madness. Yeah, so
dude,
so rude. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. I had the opposite happen to me actually, where I had something listed that was kind of rarish, and someone messaged me like, hey, you need to delist that. That's like kind of rare. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks for
solid.
not buying it.
Yeah. Nice.
That is super solid.
Nice. All right, guys. I think it is about time to wrap it up. We're about an hour into the show. Always a pleasure to be up on stage with you guys. And always a big thank you to everybody who tuned in, watched, or listened to the episode. If you want to do us a huge solid and hit the subscribe and like button on YouTube, I think I say this every week, but it does help out, and it does mean a lot to us. We appreciate it. Go check out exitliquidity.io for the newsletter. Drip Cult puts that together and gets it out to you, DGens, every Tuesday and Friday morning. So a nice little midweek and end of week read before you get into the weekend. Just summarizes all the things that are happening in crypto, NFTs, and Web3, and it's a great read, and it just keeps getting better. So Drip, we appreciate your work on that. Dirty Milk, Drip Cult, thanks so much, guys. We'll do it again next Thursday. And we're also talking about another kind of content piece that we're going to be doing on the side of this, too.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and it should be a lot of fun. But we will stop there. Peace out, D-Gens.
Teaser. See you guys.
Toodaloo. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao. Ding dao day.
Any final thoughts before we get into it, gentlemen?
R.I.P. the Queen.
Oh, yeah, you're going to mention the Queen?
I'm going to mention the Queen.